Don't make me laugh.
Welcome to the world we live in.
All right. Welcome to season 2, episode 5 in the year 2021 of the Neutral Zone. So you are here joining us in your living room with Stomps and Nav as we walk you through some very, very, very entertaining things that have happened over the last week. Typically, we like to do these on Sunday afternoon, but there was a lot to talk about yesterday because some folks played up to 4 games yesterday. Stomps played 3 games, and he was too tired to do the show last night. So we're gonna have to address some of those things that happened in Woodridge and some of the decision making that went into actually playing on that slick surface. But we do have a very packed show ahead of you. We're going to try to condense everything in 30 minutes. Stomps, before we get started, if it's okay, I'd just like to just bring up a couple of current events. Um,
Sure.
you understand what's happening with the coming weather. Can you tell the folks and the viewers what to expect in the next 24 to 48 hours?
Uh, Kind of depends on where you live. From my understanding, where I'm at in Naperville, we're kind of in the bullseye for about 4 to 8 inches of snow. I think further you go south, you could get a mix of some sleet and freezing rain and that kind of stuff. I think south of I-80. I don't know that we have anybody who lives south of I-80 that plays with us though. So yeah, I mean, look for maybe a half inch, a half a foot of snow, which we haven't had in a while. I mean, but it's January, so I fired up the snow blower because haven't had to use it in over a year. So it worked, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
Whatever happens.
you're saying
Um,
this is the biggest storm in 2 years.
yeah, we'll see what happens. You just never know. I mean, even the biggest snows we've had in Chicago were never predicted to be the biggest. And then all of a sudden we had 2 feet of snow. So be ready. That's all I can say.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I'm hoping people will choose to work from home.
That was very witty.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? What's happened the last few years is we've gotten really soft as human beings. You have these situations where you get 2 inches of snow and they either delay or they cancel school.
Right.
Well, well, now if they're schooling, through the home thing, now the kids don't get that benefit. If I mean, how do you have a snow day when you're at home already? So,
Right.
oh well.
You must be reading my mind because I was going to insert this later on in the show. But breaking news, I'm sure you've heard the Chicago Public Schools have delayed the teachers' return date back to school after a union vote that just happened 5 hours ago. So there's another return date back to school. So that's happening in the Chicago area.
And when is that happening?
They've delayed it. Um, they've delayed the return to date on the teachers. So that's what I just read this afternoon.
All right. Wow.
So we got some things to discuss today, right? Like we'll obviously do what we always do. We'll give you a summary of the Palatine hockey throughout the week. We know there's a couple of opportunities to do that. Then what we'll do is we'll get into what happened yesterday at Woodridge. Stomps and I have split up, and now we're gonna take one of us will take Woodridge, one of us will try to take Palatine. Hopefully, we'll get to play hockey together at some point, maybe Wednesday. And then we'll talk a little bit about what's happening with the Masters. I know there's a lot of interested viewers online right now that have probably some of you have seen Frank's most recent update, hot off the press. We'll dig into that a little bit, and then I'll talk a little bit about the practice yesterday, but nothing too deep here. So why don't we start off with last Wednesday? Congratulations to you, Stomps. You were selected the first one to put together a celebrity lineup, and hey man, you did a good job. It was a 1 goal game. It went right down to the wire. Light versus dark. I think you made a really good set of two teams. What was your thinking process around that?
Well, first, thanks to Lou for the idea, giving some of us a chance to take a little of the load off of him and make the sides up. And hey, I looked at it, it was a little bit of an expanded roster, right? Because things are loosening up just a little bit. So there was a few more players to choose from, and all I tried to do was, and it literally took me like just 15 minutes to put it together. I had all the names down on paper, and I kind of paired people up according to what I thought their abilities were, or here's a couple of guys that are really fast. So I had, of course, you and I squared off against each other from a defensive standpoint. And then I just kind of split them up that way. And I just wanted to make sure both teams had adequate speed. So I think we had like 6 really good speed guys, and then I just split them up, and it worked out. I mean, that's the whole goal, is to have as competitive a game as possible, not having to make mid-game trades and things of that nature, because I think Lou was going to dock me some points if I did that.
Well,
it just worked out.
Do you think Lou is keeping track of this on a spreadsheet?
I'm going to say no.
What's the prize for the?
He told me yesterday that whoever steps in and makes the sides can play for free the following week.
Oh wow!
Which is cool,
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not looking for anything. Just it's a fun thing to do. I actually like to make the teams up that way. So maybe he'll allow me to do it a little more often.
Yeah, and you know what? Lou makes good teams, but I thought you did a good job as well. So that's pretty cool. I'm curious to see who gets to pick the teams tomorrow for the next game.
Sure.
That'll be cool. No, I also thought you did a good job. You also were not on my team.
Correct.
Yeah, so we faced.
I can't stack the deck with both of us on the same team.
Right, exactly. I was worried at one point that one of my goals was going to get disallowed, but thanks to your advocacy, I was able to have that goal counted.
That's right, and that allowed for the close finale of a 1-goal differential.
Was that kind of your intention by even?
No.
How about Eddie Del Castillo? After that goal went in, he continued to play like he had no passion to like try to tie the game up. He was okay losing. Do you think we talked to him about his competitive spirit?
I think he legitimately didn't think it was a goal, so he kept playing.
Right.
But like 3 of us were saying, yeah, that's a goal. So
right. No, that was a fun game. That was a fun game. I thought the goaltending has been pretty sharp lately. I've been really impressed with what we're seeing with, Billy Jacques, Joe Coletta, and the third goalie was Bobby Dickinson in that game. So Bobby D's been coming out a lot more. Do you want to talk about Woodridge and then we get to Masters? What do you want to do first?
Oh, hang on here. Whatever you want to do. How about you go ahead and then I'll talk about Woodridge.
All right. So Frank just recently sent out a memo on the Team Chicago app. For those of you who are watching this, if you get a chance, read the update. He's pretty encouraging news that there's 29 runners that have signed up for the tournament in April in Philadelphia for the Masters, and 2 goalies. So, with those numbers, if they stay committed, everybody, we have enough for 2 teams. So that's good. And seeing the enthusiasm at the practices, as well as Frank's in the middle of putting together a jersey order. I think he's received most of the orders by now. Looks like a lot of people are interested in this whole Masters initiative, whether it's only for the tournament or outside the tournament, and just playing with a bunch of older guys like Stomps and I. I think that's pretty good stuff. Yesterday we had I believe it was our third practice. The practices on Sunday have now been rescheduled to every Sunday from 2:40 to 4:10. I think the venue is good in Palatine. Obviously, it gives you good practice. There's lots of running and conditioning that you can expect. I thought yesterday, Frank being out of town, Dante ran the practice. He did a nice job with the drills. He put together 2 very competitive teams. And I would just say, for those of you who are wondering what's happening, Frank and the management team, we have a call this week to talk about the rosters, and there should be more information forthcoming in the next, I'd say within a week, to kind of know where things are. And I think the intention here with Frank is so people can plan appropriately. Obviously, people are going to have to book flights, hotels, all that fun stuff. So there should be more information later this week. I think what we're going to do is have a special neutral zone where we're going to unveil the Masters teams live on air on the neutral zone. We'll probably do it like an event with Frank and other members of the management team. And hopefully that'll happen within the next week, possibly the next neutral zone episode.
That's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have my own personal decision made by then.
You're still a maybe?
I am. I'm still listed as a maybe on the app.
So
Talk about a fence sitter.
That's all right. I mean, there's a lot of things to consider with this.
I have a question, though, for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think if there were 2 squads, is 2 goalies sufficient?
Well, I think I'd normally say it would be probably a good practice to have a third goalie. However, because of the profile of some of the players, you have Chris Hay there, you have Lou, you have other guys who can actually don the pads.
That's true.
So I think we'd be okay from a backup, like a third goalie perspective. We might in total be bringing 5 goalies for all we know. I mean, if Timmy joins, and I don't know if he will or not, but Timmy's another player who can play goal. So what do you got? You got Nelson, Billy Jacques, maybe Bobby D. Bobby D's made it pretty known that he's interested in playing. So let's see what happens with Bobby D. And this is in no particular order, by the way. Then you have Lou, Chris Hay. And am I missing anybody? And I said Timmy as well, if he were to play. So that's 6 possible goalies.
And Dante's a long shot if you had to go to the 7 deep.
Yeah.
He probably hasn't played in decades, but
I don't think he'd want to play goalie. But no, definitely, I think we'll be okay, Stomps. What anything else that you're hearing? I know you get some text messages from people. Is there anything else you want to ask? I might not be able to answer it. Frank and the other guys might be able to, but I could try.
no, I mean, I think the communication's been pretty solid. I mean, it seems to be coming together fairly well. I think the guys are excited about the prospects
Right.
for this team, and new jerseys. There's always excitement around that kind of stuff. It's fresh, it's new.
Yeah.
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 I like it.
Absolutely. And Bobby Bauer was there again yesterday. It's nice to have him. I hope he continues. I have to send him the link to this show because I told him we talked about him last week.
Was he wearing his American flag shorts?
I don't think he was wearing those yesterday. Although I really want to put a shout out to him. He's got great hair. He's always bugging me about my hair. I'm like, dude, you got fine. Your hair is fine. Hey, you know who's been I'm seeing progress. I wanted to call this out because we didn't in the celebrity game, but Freddie Coletta got 2 goals last Wednesday.
Yeah. And I know he'd been stymied up to that point.
Hmm.
So, and one of those goals was his famous move where he comes kind of flying down the right wing and shoots to the far side, kind of the stick side of the goalie, and beat him to the stick side. So that was kind of heartening to see that
Yeah,
team score.
absolutely.
It's got to be a weight off his shoulders.
Yeah, and he got a pair, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Um, before we get into Woodridge, um, I wanted to see if we could possibly get a sign up sheet at the next Woodridge for those who want to get vaccinated. I'm thinking that we could probably help out Walgreens and CVS as I just came with some really important breaking information or breaking news for you that the retail pharmacies and the suburban Cook County are now scheduling vaccine appointments. I don't know if you know that, but that's pretty big news. So
I'm mostly concerned about my mom
yeah,
and the facility she's in. Originally, they were going to give vaccines to all the residents on January 18th. Apparently, we won't name the company who kind of fell short in that area, and now they've reached out to another. So let's put it this way: my mom has an opportunity within the next week to get her first shot.
oh,
So
amazing.
yeah, it's gonna happen one way or the other, I think. So that's good because she's 90 years old. She's in that group that should be near the top of the list. So
Well,
yeah.
I'm happy to hear that. My wife's parents have both been vaccinated their first round.
Oh, nice.
They had that done in Florida. Florida seems to be doing a better job of distributing the vaccine. I don't know what's going on in Illinois and the state of California. They're not doing too well.
I had an interesting conversation yesterday with Chris Sheets,
Okay.
and he said he really thinks that Palatine, this if and when it does come back with leagues, it's going to look different. Um, he's got concerns about widespread distribution of the vaccine and guys not wanting to play until that happens. Um, so and he was drawing on some experiences within his family, playing hockey in Canada with a big outbreak of COVID amongst one of his siblings' teams or leagues, I should say.
Right.
So hey, I get it. We're gonna, it's nice that we're getting more guys that are being able to play a Palatine, kind of loosening up a little, but I don't know when the leagues will come back.
Right. I don't know if I'm more excited about the distribution of the vaccine or the fact that I got you to talk about it for 2 minutes.
At least I blended it into some good hockey talk, ball hockey talk. I didn't just randomly rattle off about the vaccine and falling off the back of a truck or something like that or whatever.
Well, we're not going to do any more vaccine talk until the next show. Okay. um, talk to
Might
me
be too late to get our viewers back though, but
talk to me about what you guys were thinking when you went to play in Woodridge yesterday. Tell me a little bit about the genesis of this.
well, I mean, we've got some people who want to play badly enough that they're willing to go out there and do some work on the rink. So the situation with the rink as of Saturday it was really too bad because at least 90% of the rink was game ready. It was perfect. except for behind the net and in the corner on the south end, there was some ice. I mean, a fair amount of ice too. So I was out there first. I kind of started by doing some shoveling and got rid of what snow I could get rid of. I don't know if you can hear my dog. He's carrying on outside my door here, and my wife's not exactly helping to get him out of here. Uh, so I got some salt, some sodium chloride, dragged it out there. It was really heavy bags.
Yeah.
And the stuff is really amazing how it works. All you have to do is put a little bit of that salt on there, and it really instantly goes to work on the ice.
Wow.
Here's the bad thing: it creates water, right? So now it went from ice to water. Josh got out there. Josh is great. I mean, Josh is a hardworking guy. I mean, all respect to him. You could see it in his play, but he was out there with the scraper, scraping all the ice. I was doing some salting. And then Eileen and Larissa came out and helped. And we had the shop vac out there with Carlo Z's generator. So started sucking up the water. And, I was out there for almost 3 hours, so I had to leave. And they carried on and got the floor ready for Sunday's action. And then, of course, overnight, we got this, maybe it was a quarter of an inch of snow. It was not a lot. When we got to Woodridge Sunday morning, it by and large had stopped. I mean, it was just barely, there was like a little tiny drizzle coming down.
Right.
So the snow was over with. And the floor was, it was so lightly covered with snow that when you tried to shovel it, you could barely shovel it because there was nothing to shovel.
Right.
So we did that. We decided to go. We didn't do any salting because we didn't want to create water. So we just kind of scraped it and then got it ready for play. And all in all, it really honestly wasn't that bad. Unfortunately, Andre got re-injured his knee.
Right. Oh, that's too bad. You think that was as a result of the slippery conditions?
Oh, there's no doubt it was part of it, but he played goalie the first game, and he even said, he goes, he was feeling good. His knee was feeling good for the last couple of weeks. He did a light jog during the week, no problems. And he said he just got too overconfident and pushed it a little bit. There weren't too many other than that. See, here's what happened, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say Eileen, during the middle of, I can't remember if it was the first or second game, she's like yelling at me in the middle of the game. We're out there on the floor, and she's like, I don't understand what you're doing, Stomps. You're like running like it's dry out here. How are you able to do that? I don't know. I mean, I try to play careful to the conditions, but then I took a couple of spills that were not good.
Oh, gee. On the tailbone?
Well, one of them hurt I've had problems with my right ankle for a long time, and it kind of messed up my foot. But I kept playing, of course. But then the next one was I went down on my back and on my left elbow. Now, some of the guys were worried that I hit the back of my head on the ground, but I didn't, fortunately. But man, I'll tell you what, my elbow and my ribs, like, man, it just hurts.
Yeah.
It was like being body slammed on there. So
if I could just dial you back just for a sec, you talked about the work that was done on Saturday, and then overnight there were some unfavorable conditions. Here's a question that I have. If you can go back to, maybe it's a question more for Josh and Eileen, and I'm wondering if you could ask them if they could implement maybe a midnight crew to kind of do it over the night so that we get as close to the game as possible.
I'm going to say not possible because the lights go off at 10,
Okay.
and you can't get them back on. But it, I'm going to take this conversation back to COVID. You know, we all know what the risks are with COVID, and we all know what the risks are with a floor that's less than ideal conditions.
Right, right.
Right? We all take that responsibility. So, but all in all, it wasn't that bad. I had fun. I still had fun.
Right.
It was 3 fun games, good goaltending. It was enjoyable, except for falling a couple of times. You know,
You'll know, you would have known by now if it was pretty serious. It's probably gonna, honestly, if you fell on your elbow and on your tailbone or whatever without fracturing or tearing anything, you probably need a couple of days to deal with that bruise. You'll be playing this week though, I'm sure.
I don't know that we're going to play Woodridge next weekend because we've got this big snow. And then next weekend, they're calling for another 2 to 4 inches of snow Saturday and Sunday. So we're not going to be stupid about this. I mean, I'm sure some people think we have been stupid, but a couple of times we shoveled and tried to get the floor ready for play. I mean, we just want to play. We're doing the best we can. We don't want to go into a ridiculously bad situation.
Sure. Are you all right if I read you the text message that you sent me in the morning before Woodridge? So I wrote, okay, I'm going to pass this morning. I don't want to get hurt. Those were my exact words. And then my co-host over here responded back to the group chat saying, this cowardice will definitely be discussed on the show. And then you went further to state, Nav, I know you have hockey this afternoon in comfy Palatine. This is what will make the master squad soft, not braving the elements with the real men and women.
I stand by those statements as I ice my back down.
I thought it was really funny, but I'm never the guy that says I told you so. I just wanted to appreciate.
You just did right there just by saying that.
Well, you didn't think I was going to let you off completely, did you? I've been asking you to nurse your injuries, and I've been a pretty nice guy about it. But I do think that people, my personal opinion is you're absolutely right about, we're taking the chance with COVID and we're making a decision that's for ourselves. The only difference I would highlight is that with COVID, you can actually see some of the symptoms before they happen. With the slippery surface, you're actually going into a dangerous zone knowingly. So listen, I've been out there on slippery surfaces. I'm not one to speak, but I would ask the goalies not to be the ones who are making the decision, even though you have some goalies that are on the management team. I think you have to ask the guys who are actually out there running. Look what happened to Andre. I mean,
I understand. Yeah.
I feel so bad for him. And I was talking to Chelly yesterday. Chelly took a bad fall out there a few years ago, and he said it took him a long time to recover. So I just say this in the sense that just like you said it best. Just be careful, right? Just be careful when you're out there. Well, okay, good. Did you have anything else to say about Woodridge?
No, there were like I said, there were 3 good games. The usual suspects were scoring all the goals. They shall remain nameless. But the goaltending was really good, I thought. Our buddy Dave Schmiel played well. We won that game. Art did double duty. He stuck around to play a couple games. Rocco was great. He had his new mask on. Andre played a great game in goal with his unique Dominic Hasek type style, and he had 2 assists from the goalie position.
Oh, wow. That's really
And
cool.
then you had Carlo. I hope I'm not missing any of the goalies. I think that's everybody. Carlos D. I mean, he said he's got goaltending credentials that go back years. and he played really well in goal. He was Stone and Timmy for most of the game until, of course, the third period when Timmy worked his magic and got a few in there. But Carlo played great. I thought he's definitely more than capable of playing goal from what I saw.
Yeah.
So is that everybody? I think so. Yeah,
Yeah. You talked about
got
the
everybody.
guys who did double duty. I know a couple of guys were out at Palatine after. Sabatini played 3 games, and he came to Palatine. And for a guy who does like a lot of running, he was pretty beat after Palatine. And Art was there as well in
He
Palatine.
was. Yeah, Art's been playing a lot.
You talked about Rocco. You like that? You liked his mask?
New masks to
Yeah.
match the rest of his gear, so he was looking good. I kind of gave you a hard time for not showing up and surrendering the third position in the points leader at Woodridge. By doing so,
So are you ahead of me now?
I'm pretty sure I am.
Yeah.
But I've played 3 more games than you, so you got to take that into account as well.
Well, you know what? I'm in esteemed company. Let's just say that.
Here's what it is. It's Timmy and Anthony, 1 and 2, race for the top between those two, and then it's everybody else after that.
Right. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to catch those guys. No, that was great. I mean, still, kudos to you guys for going out there. Hey, I wanted to just highlight 2 local restaurants that I've been going to. And I've been going to them throughout the pandemic, and they've been doing a really nice job. Both of them have done a nice job with their curbside as well as the quality of food, and they haven't gouged us on prices or anything like that. I think they've been fair. They've been good to their employees. So I'm going to highlight them this evening. Taco Vita in Deerfield. So they're on my Instagram page. I'll tag them here, as well as Jimmy Thai in Deerfield. So 2 restaurants that I enjoy, and I try to get those like at least once a month. Any restaurants in your area you want to bring up that you've been going to?
I'll go with Angeli's in Naperville. It's a family-owned Italian restaurant that they're still opened up for some limited inside dining. We get it for carry out, but once they open up for good, it's a great place to experience because it's family run. So they have kids as wait staff and kids as of the parents, the owners, who do bussing of the tables and so forth. And they're very well known, not only for good food, but great service, because they're constantly there filling your water glass. And so, I like shout out to them. I'm sure they're impacted by everything going on, but they're doing a great job. I would also say, I don't want to leave anybody out. I mean, the House of Emperor in Bangkok Village, House of Emperor's Chinese, Bangkok Village is Thai food. They both great for carry out. They've been in town for a long time. They haven't been doing the indoor dinings, but they do bang up business on carry out. And I'll give a shout out to the Brown's Chicken in Naperville. What a clean place. I don't know the lady's name. She's always there. She manages the place. Spick and span. Excellent chicken. Excellent dinner. Food. The carry out. No mistakes. They do a great job there. And we know Brown's Chicken. I mean, it's a chain around the Chicago area, but the one in Naperville, they do a nice job there. So,
well, I'll make sure that they hear your kind words. We do our best here to support small businesses on the neutral zone. We'll continue to try to integrate that, weave that into our shows. I'm going to add one more because you had 3, you had 4 actually, and I had 2. I'll add one that you're really going to like here, the Italian Kitchen in Deerfield. So we've been going to them pre-pandemic as well as throughout the pandemic. It's a family-owned business. The owner is who I typically deal with. Her name is Emerald over there. They've just expanded their menu. Stomps, you'll love it. You'll love it. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be like your mom's kitchen, but it's from what I hear, it's pretty darn close. So we'll definitely showcase as many restaurants as we can. And for those of you who watch the video, please make a point to put that in the comments section. You're at the end of watching episode 5 of season 2 of the Neutral Zone with Nav and Stomps. Stomps, I wanted to ask you before we close out here this evening, is there anything else you'd like to share? Whether it's showcase any players or any injury report that you'd like to share with anyone?
No, I was just going to say the Blackhawks won a couple games over the weekend. So, but a couple of their players are now in COVID protocol. I saw that today. So it's always good to see the Blackhawks win a few games and pull themselves out of the basement. They're not in last place overall now. Actually, their power play looks extremely solid. But no, I think we highlighted some people. Some of the players. We always try to give them all kudos. I appreciate everybody who showed up at Woodridge to make for some fun games yesterday in less than perfect conditions. But I think the players appreciate the effort that goes into trying to get that place ready for a game. I forgot to mention Larissa. She hurt her hand and had to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't a conditions-related injury. She said she was just having issues with one of her hands gripping the stick. So she had to leave a game early, unfortunately. So hopefully she's on the mend.
Yeah, I hope it's not vaccine related.
Well, she is in the medical industry, right?
She's a dietitian.
Maybe she has access to some special medications to. It sounded like it could have been a carpal tunnel type situation, possibly. I mean, hey, I'm no doctor.
We wish her a speedy recovery. She's an important part of what we try to do here in the Chicago area. Hey, you've been watching a lot of hockey at home. I noticed you've been watching a lot of the games lately. You're texting me. You're keeping up with a lot of different teams. You've been watching NBC, right?
Dad and NHL Network has games on most nights, and then the NBC Sports Network. Yeah.
Have you noticed a new broadcast edition on NBC recently? Have you noticed Mike Babcock?
Oh yeah, I saw him yesterday in the studio.
So after he got fired as the Leafs head coach in November of 2019, his plan was to wait until the start of the 2020-2021 season to come out and speak about what had happened. So for anyone who's interested, I would say go online and watch some of the questions that he had addressed about his firing from the Leafs, some of the controversial things that happened between him and Mitch Marner and other players. I think it's really interesting to see his take. I do believe he was demonstrating lots of humility, and he said that he had made a mistake. So kudos to him. I personally always liked him as a coach. I've heard some things that he's done with players. I mean, I know some of the Chicago folks probably don't like him because he was the coach of Detroit all those years, and then he had a really bad relationship with Chris Chelios as well. And I know Chris Chelios is near and dear to a lot of Chicagoans, but watch it and see. And I'd love to get people's take if they think that he should be granted another head coaching job in the NHL. But it's interesting to hear his comments.
And I didn't catch those, so I'm going to look that up. We also had the trade between Columbus and Winnipeg, right? Line A for Dubois.
That's right. That's right.
And I know Dubois had come on under a lot of criticism for I didn't see it. I guess the last game he played in Columbus, he either loafed intentionally or he did something out there that really some people were pretty angry about. I mean, I saw comments from Brian Burke. He was pretty pointed in his criticism. But then he did an interview that I guess was endearing to some people. He was very professional and so he's a young guy. He's a good player. So is Patrick Laine. But these are guys that wanted trades. They both wanted out of their respective situations. And
Well, I'm going to guess Dubois probably wanted to get away from John Tortorella. I mean, John Tortorella, I heard there was a little tension between the two of them. I could be wrong, but I've heard that.
But he had good things. He said Torts is a guy that you'll become a better player for whatever his methods are. Hey, he's an interesting fella, Torts, for sure. I don't know what Patrick Laine's issue was. He's a really good goal scorer.
He probably didn't like being in Winnipeg. I mean, he was in the year he was drafted the year Austin Matthews was drafted. He went number 2, Matthews went number 1, and I think he probably thought he should have went number 1, which is, in my view, ridiculous.
I don't like these guys who want. This goes back to, if you remember, when Eric Lindros was going to be the number 1. Who was going to pick him? Remember, wasn't it Quebec?
He actually got drafted by the Quebec Nordiques.
Right, so he ended up with Philly because he didn't want to play in Quebec. I don't know. I don't know this. It's hard to criticize because you don't know the person's entire situation. But I would look at it as such a blessing to just be drafted that high in the NHL. Wherever you would play, you're going to be a star. I mean, you're going to own that town. In Quebec, right around that time, they ended up, moving to Colorado. So he would have had a good situation there. And it worked out for him, I guess, in Philly. But I have a problem with these guys who they won't go to whoever's going to draft them. It's like, come on, really?
It's really not fair to the franchise. I mean, that drafts. I mean, I'm with you 100%. And, I also believe in the right ending happening for those kind of decisions. Like, look, Colorado would never have gotten Peter Forsberg if that didn't happen. And they went on to win, like you said, they have a very successful franchise. And I think Forsberg went on to win 2 Stanley Cups with the Colorado Avalanche.
That's correct.
And he might have even, if I'm not mistaken, he might have won a Conn Smythe one year, but it could have been Patrick Waugh. I'll let you do the fact checking on that one. But
I'll get right on that.
No, but I'm definitely excited about the season. I'm glad we're having games. I think some of the games in the U.S. Have you read the names of the divisions? Have you seen the names? What they're calling themselves?
Are you talking the corporations that are?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen it on the screen. I couldn't tell you what the Central is named. I think one is Discover Card. I can't even remember.
Yeah, so the Canadian division is called Scotia North.
Now, see, why isn't it Tim Hortons?
Yeah,
that would have been my call.
The banks probably have a lot of pull, a lot of
money.
Probably. So it's named after a bank, as you would know. Then you were right about the Central Division. It's named after Discover.
Okay, so I was right.
That's the one Chicago's in, so you'd know that. And then the Mass Mutual one is the Eastern Conference or the Eastern Division. And then the last one, which kind of makes sense because it's on the West Coast and it's, I think, where the Mighty Ducks play, is called the Honda West Division.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're fine. They're named after corporations. I would have liked to see Tim Hortons too. I'm with you. So exciting. Exciting stuff happening with the NHL.
Yeah, you see a few fans in the stands depending on the city. I've seen some fans in Phoenix. I've seen some fans in Dallas. Not sure where else, but a smattering of fans here and there. In Florida, down in Miami, there were some fans. I saw that.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure I think the Tampa Bay Lightning might have had some fans, but I don't know if they're still allowed. But regardless, we're happy about that. I'm also happy about basketball. So there's a lot of things going on in the sports world. I know you're not a big football guy, neither am I, but it looks like
Wow.
there's going to be, it's been determined who's playing in the Super Bowl in Tampa.
Brady against Mahomes.
Right.
The old against the young. I mean, that's a cool storyline.
Right.
I would have liked to have seen the Bills win that game yesterday. So it could have been Brady against the Bills. Brady lifetime against the Buffalo Bills is 32 wins against 3 losses.
Wow.
So it would have been interesting to see the Bills try and get a little revenge on him. So I'm sure it'll be, I'm sure it'll definitely be a good game. Those are 2 really good teams, and
yeah. Well, listen,
excellent quarter.
being from Toronto, there's a lot of Buffalo Bills fans in Toronto. So
yeah, that's true.
The Bills, there's a lot of people were glued to their TV set. I think the Buccaneers are going to have a really good advantage considering the game's being played in Tampa. So that'll be an interesting thing. Has that ever happened before?
Wow, that's a really excellent question. I'm trying to think if anybody has ever had a home field advantage in the Super Bowl. You would think New Orleans and the Dome, but I don't know that that's ever happened out west when LA was the Raiders, the LA Raiders. Did they play in LA? I can't remember, to be honest with you.
Right.
But there's going to be, I heard 22,000 people allowed in the stands.
I heard that too.
It's a big event. It's always been a big event. I know football's taken a bit of a hit in the last year for a number of reasons, but we'll see what happens.
Right. Well, it's just nice to see sports. It's nice to see sports. I think it creates a really good environment. You tuned in, everyone here tuned in to episode 5 of the Neutral Zone. On behalf of Stomps and I, thank you for tuning in. We welcome
episode 5 of season 2.
Season 2, that's right. We welcome you to subscribe to our channel, to please tell your family and friends so we can get our subscribers a little bit over 1 million. We typically are looking for aiming high. The new administration has said that they want to do 1 million vaccinations per day. We want to have 1 million subscribers per day. So we're hoping to achieve that lofty goal, but we think it's achievable. So I'm going to close out here, Stomps.
Take care, everyone.
See you later.
Through the kitchen, remembering the nights